Okay, g'day everyone. Welcome back. Sorry it's been so long. Lynn, do we have sound now? There was... Okay, I forgot to hit the mute button. Hi Lynn. Hi Love. Anybody else here? Okay, and hello to, sorry, g'day, to any other listeners out there. Okay, we've got sound. 10 and 10. Alright. I'll just get straight into the introduction, and it's good to be here. Love you all. Okay, so the signs of the times. In essence, Desert can discuss the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time. Who they are and how they have founded all the first great civilizations that are found all around the world. About who the giants really were, and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, and the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. He discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it. But they are cleverly leaving us in the dark, hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate. But they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was written by Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. And you are here with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl on the Forbidden History Chronicles. Welcome, Desert. How's it going?
Hey, Des. Ninja, forgive me. I'm just trying to give me a little energy boosting something. Not good for radio, but we're the bastards all the way on. We're the real public radio.
Yes.
And trying to make sense out of a bad world.
Yeah. I'm just laughing because I'm relating. I'm trying to find time to sip more on my coffee.
Right, you're still halfway in bed, I think, right? Or
Yeah,
like
kinda. The bed's next to me. I've actually gotten out of it. Yeah.
Right. Well, we're have another day to have an opportunity to, find our true nature and to grab for the peace that we all really want within our spiritual life, within our material world. But it's everything in this world is temporary, and therefore to identify with that which is eternal is the key.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? Well, we have to find the right resources for correct information, and basically all the information is controlled. And so what are we going to do? We have to become adept, just like the occultists are adept in their occultism. Well, we have to become adept in the nature of light. They're in the nature of darkness.
Yeah.
And you've got no caller ID trying to call in right now, and I don't answer phones I don't recognize. So
I don't blame you.
Here.
Yeah.
They never answer. When I pick up the phone, then there's nothing there. So this is the kind of games that I have to play with little boys out there in the world that never grew up and think they're on some type of power trip that they're going to live in a secret society, and boy, all the frills and perks we all get, we can break the law, we can get away with murder, with our grand hailing sign. Go to the judge, he's a fellow Mason too. Yeah, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and so it's a dangerous world. It's a world where they go after little boys and girls and rape them and ritually sacrifice them and drink their blood and think that's a great ideal,
Yeah.
So we're not. There's nothing to be happy about. And the people that are having everything going well for them in their life right now, they're actually in the worst position. Those of us like you, me, who have experienced persecution and oppression, and at the same time are waking up. Well, we never really would have woke up if maybe we didn't have our oppression. So the good news is we can identify with the truth, and therefore it creates the catalyst so that we can properly put things in right perspective and also connect with the one who reveals all things. The one who made all things is the only one who reveals all things. Okay, and he says that nobody could even know him unless he was willing to reveal himself to them. Bottom line. So
Wow.
there's a lot of people in false tradition.
Already.
Yeah. A lot of falsehood out there. People, in what we call religion, and they're thinking life is rosy because they got a new car and then bank account and good job, but all of this is an illusion. It all goes by the wayside, and if they didn't dedicate themselves to sacrifice and to study and serving their fellow man, then they're only fooling themselves. I wouldn't. I dedicated my life to know something and to identify with the one who made the universe. And last thing I would want to do is dedicate my entire life to something, and then in the end have been just played a game and lied to myself. So it's the greatest challenge is to overcome the self and the ego and the flesh, but it's prerequisite to transcendence. And so we're going to share some of that today with. We're going to do part 2 on dismemberment, because I found a scripture that a definition that actually goes into that, and then we're going to talk about the higher aspect and the lower aspect of the self, our creation, because there is all of these things have to be defined, and so that's what I've been trying to do for myself. I didn't do this for anybody. My journey and study was for myself, because I saw how inferior I was to our Maker, to the one who made all things, and we're supposed to come up to His level, be perfect, because He is perfect, like Yeshua said, and so that He made us, and therefore we have a potential. We have a potential. What we see out there is everybody living like animals.
Yeah.
They're out for themselves, right?
Yep. I see it.
And so Yeah, so we have to recognize that we're of a higher order. We're of a higher order, and we have to realize that we are actually descended from a royalty. If we look at all these idiots on thrones from history and even today, like the Queen of England, psychopaths and murderers, and they call themselves royalty. Well, there is one royalty that we can all identify with, and he rules from the throne of the sun. The great logo, it's a symbol, but yet it's a metaphor. He rules from the throne of the sun. He is the throne of the sun in the metaphor. Just like I am not, like an owl, I am an owl. You see, that's the metaphor, because we put on the characterization of what the image is representing. And so this is part of the great mystery of life. We talk about we have a soul. Remember, I was trying to define last week about our nature. How do we define what we really are versus the flesh, versus the ego, right? And versus the mind. And we were talking about our essence. But today I was looking at the word soul, and I was reading the Indo-Germanic again. Just finishing one of the dictionaries I've been reading for about 35 years now, and I just 2 more pages. I've read the entire dictionary, and so in there under the word seed and sea, as in vision, as in ocean, and all of this, I saw the word soul was there as well, soul, and about separateness and all these other things, and I realized that if we were to define ourselves, our soul, it is really a soul seed, is what we really are. You see, because we have potential. We have potential, but yet we're not going anywhere. For the most of the people are not going anywhere. They're lying to themselves. They're pretending to themselves. They lie to each other. Everybody. And but we are a soul seed, and meaning, see, that's the metaphor of the garden. See, we are in a garden. We are in the lower garden, not the atom, not the Eden. That's the sun. That's the light. That's the higher garden, where the spirit is, where we want to be. It's hard for people to wrap their mind around it because they've been looking at the sun like a biological entity all their lives, because nobody told them the true nature of the origin of things. You see, and so in essence, we are a soul seed, and therefore the Great Spirit planted us down here, hoping that we would take root and sprout up onto the higher level of creation.
Oh, wow! Yeah. Wow! I can just see it on all levels.
You can see it graphically, and that's where it changes the perspective, right?
Wow! Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going back into the dirt. You will decay, and it says go back into the lake of fire, which is the mouth of the volcano, where we were made from the fiery magma, from the essence of creation, the physical, not the spirit, but the physical. Goes back into the mixing pot. So you're a soul seed, and that's why, like to me, doing our interviews are so important. If not for you, for me, but then also for our friends that are listening. That everyone needs to hear things they've never heard before. Because the rigmarole we've been hearing all of our lives is the parrot. The parrot. Jesus loves you. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so. But they can't define one thing in the scriptures or get a revelation or interpret the metaphors or the symbols or the words. But they all got religion. They all got religion. So it's a crazy world. But you have the potential to live forever, and that's what we all have to recognize. We have to wake up with the limited time we have left in order to be able to seek the mercy of the Father, and He's full of mercy. That's all He's about. But if we're not willing to sacrifice and to surrender our self-will for the higher will and serving our fellow man, then we're only not going anywhere, and that's tragedy, because there's so many precious lives and people who dedicate themselves also to their spiritual tradition or religion, and yet have no way of figuring out whether it's a true or a fall,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And but yet so from a fundamental standpoint, we have to realize certain things that it says that help get us in the right direction. Like it says, be a separate people, you know, be separate. And so separating from the crowd, you know, whichever way the crowd's going, that's the place you don't want to go. Crowd is always wrong, you know? So, okay, I've rambled. It's your turn, and then we can get on with the read. Soul Seed, Ninja Cat.
Okay. I do have a couple of things that I would like to mention just from hearing you just then. Yeah. It goes back to the weather, because as you know, I've been focusing a lot on what's been going on down here lately and seeing so much deception, so much misdirection, and exactly what you say, go the opposite way to what the crowd is going. Whatever they're trying, whatever the mass media is trying to get us to focus on, look in the other direction. Yeah, we're still getting extreme weather down here. I wanted to get some photos together and put them up, but I ran out of time. I'll do it on the next one, of the lightning that we're having down here. It's when I was a kid, I remember lightning used to be yellow for starters, and that even makes more sense to me now. It just came to me just then. Yellow lightning is the color of light. Like, it's the natural. Do you know what I mean? Like the natural color. And now it's blue, and it's coming out blue in the pictures as well. And that just goes back to blue beam for me. Anyway, a storm came over today, and I realized a pattern. The storm wasn't the pattern. It was not on time today. It was 4 hours early, and it rained for 3 hours. Normally it rains for about 10 minutes, really heavy, and the storm has been coming over about 9 o'clock at night. It came over at 5 o'clock this afternoon, so it could get a head start with the rain. As soon as the storm came over, Mum immediately switched into, she went completely into, I put it in the chat actually, went completely into opposite land, completely resisting everything that I was trying to do. Here's some examples. Refusing to drink water, thinking that the weather has cooled down, she doesn't need it. I opened a couple of doors and a couple of windows to let the cool air in because it had been really muggy all day. Humid, translation, in case anyone doesn't know what muggy means. Yeah, and to let in some cool air because it was really hot inside, and I had to keep reopening the door, because Mum automatically switched into, oh, it's cooled down, it must be cold, I have to shut everything now. And that's just a couple of examples. And she would not stop. She had too much energy, and I, on the other hand, I did not feel like myself. This has happened before, but it was extreme today. The energy is unbelievable down here. The way it changes. I went from normal to instantly quick to snap. Like, I was really quick tempered. I felt like I was gonna explode, and there was no reason for it. Like, Mum was being a little frustrating, but I'm used to that. except she was quite extreme today. But anyway, and it's the energies. It's the energies. And what I saw was that, like, Mum, unfortunately, is in complete darkness at the moment. I am working on a few things to improve that, hopefully, with her health, at least. But yeah, she's in her mind, she's in complete darkness. She's asleep. I am doing everything I can to get into the light and stay in the light. Mum's reaction to the change in energy was extra energy and opposite, like going into complete opposite. My reaction was feeling drained and quick-tempered, and I think that is deliberate, like when it comes to the frequencies and all that sort of thing, because I've heard this a lot about or seen it a lot with people that are still asleep. Oh no, Gimpy, get off the keyboard. Sorry. Sorry, I've heard that a lot, or noticed it a lot with people that are still asleep. There's a weird energy, and they get all excited and hyperactive and go with the crowd. And on the other hand, people like us, like people that are searching for truth, and yeah, like if you feel, I don't know how to explain it, feel drained. Yeah, I just see the pattern there. So I'm a bit rambly at the moment. I've still got to have a bit more coffee and stuff. So, what do you think, Desert, on that one?
Well, certainly the rain and all that, and the storm, electrical storm, creates a change of aura in the energy that's in the air. The ozone that used to be in there, I don't know if we can say there's ozone in there anymore. I don't know what to say is in the rain anymore, because it's
I couldn't smell any today.
Now, so.
Yeah, there was none today, and we had 3 hours of rain. Anyway, yeah, sorry, continue. Yep.
Right. Yeah, we all might react differently to the rain. People can feel it in their bones, some people. So we're like an antenna that is picking up the energy that's in a storm, and it's many people, and of course the animals even know. You know, the animals know when a storm is coming. We see them go under a tree, like the cows would go under a tree, or things like that. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I'm not able to comment much more on that. That's a study outside my my arena. From that standpoint. You were going to share that at the halftime break. Was that what you were going to do? You were leading up to what you're going to share at halftime. Is that what you were doing?
No, I haven't had time to put the storm pictures in, but I do have the video of the V mana and the energy, so we'll do that at halftime.
Okay.
I might just quickly look in the chat and then we'll move on. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So then we're going to get on with the part 2 of what we talked about last. I believe it was Tuesday. Yeah, it was, and what I was talking about the dismemberment of Osiris and what was the other name? Something. I'm looking at them all the time. The demiurge, what's that word? Hang on. Dionysius, I believe it was. And so that now I lost my place.
Okay, well.
Presentation.
Okay, well, are you right?
So it's dismemberment. How should I not be able to find that alphabetically? C D E. This. Sorry about that. Here we go. So the point about all this is that there is a within this mythology, to make the connections with mythology, to show that the ancient Vekovesh, the Watchers who fell, they knew the story, like we find it written in Enoch, that at the end of the world, which was 2,000 years ago, the Redeemer would come to offer salvation for mankind. And so prior to his coming, there were the false, we could call them false saviors, but the archetype themselves, the Osiris of Mezar, falsely called Egypt, or Apollo of Rome, or Zeus of Greece, these savior stories were actually telling the true story of creation, and the metaphors and symbols were all identical with that of the true story of the Mashiach, of the Moeshiach, Yeshua, the Messiah. And so this is why some people are confused about whether there is a true Moeshiach or if it's just a cosmic story, or but Jerusalem, Yahuwah Shalom exists. Okay, the history of the center of the earth and navel, and what that history is all about is real. Just like Mezar, nobody questions if Egypt is falsifiable. Egypt is not real. You see, that actually, it's Mezar. It's Mezarem. That's the original word. But they switched it out because it's a power word. Don't want us to know about these power words. Just like the connection is with the Old Covenant text, the Masoretic text, given us to by the Masoretic Jews out of Switzerland. And so it's all smoke and mirrors game that's been going on ever since recorded history, ever since the Aryan Bekoresh, correctly for watchers, took over our planet and then and created the priesthoods, and then started controlling everything, building pyramid civilizations around the world. So in this metaphor of the story about why Osiris, what did it mean when Osiris was dismembered? And they have to, of course, listen to your program, part 1 last week. I would recommend to go there first, and then do this as a follow-up for any listener that's not listening live, to go to hear this, presentation from the beginning. And that was last Tuesday, the program prior to this one that we did together. And so I show you that Osiris and Dionysius, or Bacchus, the same, another aspect. There's basically a character type of Yeshua, of the Redeemer, but in a different garment, in different clothing, in a different culture, but it's the same story. And this is how, when we listen to these stories, because people have been prejudiced, of course, to these other cultures, but yet, if you study these stories, you find out that they tell a story, and it's telling the story of creation and of salvation, soul salvation, correctly. So I'm going to go into now dismemberment after death of the body of the Elohim. The great Elohim, of course, is Yeshua. He's represented by the great logo, the sun. And so here we go. Okay, a symbol of the potentially perfect, homogeneous soul becoming throughout evolution the actual imperfect heterogeneous integration of qualities. I know there's a lot of deep compounds there, but you can play it back, okay? And this refers to the archetypal Eshan, that's the correct word for man, or blood of the earth, who is perfected by the completion of the process of spiritual involution, and therefore dies out of that state in order to reproduce piecemeal in another, which we would call evolution, the evolution of your being, that seed, that soul seed that begins to grow because it's been in this earth long enough, and now it wants to come forth. The soul of Osiris is eternal. Now, that we're reading from ancient scripture now. That's obviously this comes out of Mezar. The soul of Osiris is eternal and incorruptible, but his body, Typhon, and I have Typhon here as creation. symbolized by the number 6, the Fibonacci unfolding of creation. Okay, and his body, Typhon, did tear in pieces and was put out of sight, while Isis wandered about. Isis is her parallel in the pure tradition of the Aryan race is the Aisha. Now in the Dezert-Owl called Isis, they switch out the A for the I and the S for the SH. And Isis wandered about and sought for it and joined it together again. Plutarch, Isis and Osiris. Okay, so it's about putting back the process and purpose of creation, the unfolding of the great mystery that is speaking, and yet nobody can interpret the pictures or the symbols. So continuing on here, and the archetypal man in his higher nature is immortal, but his potential perfect lower nature is subject to death and change of state, and so the form of limitation, tendency, Typhon, motivated by desire, presses apparently against the life within, resulting in the evolution of a number of astral mental qualities which operate upon many subplanes. Then the ludic function, Isis, begins to act in disciplining and harmonizing the qualities so that eventually they may be perfected and united in one, the higher self, Osiris. So the Buddhic function, Isis, in parentheses, but it's really Aisha. The Buddhic function is the process of light. It is the sun. The Buddha is the flower that is opening up, and that's the sun. It's open and shining down on us. It's in full function, and this is all of this, of course, is as deep as it really goes when we're talking about the metaphysics of our creation, and because most people have been spoon-fed education in the schools of our government schools, then they're not deep, they don't think deeply, and then they've also been prejudiced against anything that's foreign to their thinking or their classical Christianity that was fed to them by Jesuits and Freemasons. So it's hard for people to follow, perhaps, but because I know how it was when I first started reading this book 35 years ago, and then I put it on the shelf for 25 years or thereabouts, until my computer shut down one day and I started reading it. I said, geez, how did I not read this all these years? It's been behind me on the shelf. And so it took me a long time to get my own pictures together because, I had to go on my own wilderness journey and have the flower open up for me. But it's about transcendence. And so I'm going to continue now. The god Tem, the governor and only one of the gods, hath spoken, and his word passeth not away. Well, that sounds familiar. See, there's a parallel right there. Horus, in both divine food and the sacrifice, is Horus hath passed. Let me read that again. Horus is both divine food and the sacrifice. Well, that sounds like Yeshua, doesn't it? Right? He said you have to eat my flesh, drink my blood, and that he's going to be a sacrifice. See? So there's your archetype, your parallel. You see, it's a true story, but it's not the original story. The original story comes through Yahweh Shalom, but yet they were purporting the story, and that's why, of course, many of the ancient cultures, like Greece or in India or wherever, they were prepared to receive the true enlightenment that came through Yeshua, because they already had these ideas, these archetypes in their mind, but knew there was something wrong because those traditions did not offer them true transcendence, especially when they looked at the priesthood. But again, when we talk about priesthoods, of course, it was no different in Yudrule Shalom either. And that's why, the old world was done away with for the golden age of light that Yeshua ushered in, because it was about a simple process of purification through the water, and then we have to go through our testing of fire, the trial of fire, to prove ourselves worthy of transcendence, because we're not going to hopscotch and jump right into, tiptoe into, paradise. We're going to be tested, obviously, and we may have to suffer a bit, and people will give up under those circumstances. But if you have enough knowledge, if you have enough foundation, and you've had enough experience with the connection of the one, through interaction, then you can overcome it. It's tough, but we have to overcome. So Horus has passed on. Horus sounds like hours, and it implies the hours of light of the sun, has passed on to gather together the members of the Divine Father. So you see, here's about what has been split apart in what we call creation, and then now it's about bringing all of it back together for spirit, because everything represents the spirit in one aspect or another, in the symbol. Horus is his deliverer. That's the Savior. That's the Yeshua. In Greek, it's Jesus, of course. That's another thing I could share about what they did with that word Jesus. We can do that at the end, if you remember, or to bring it back up with me. Anyway,
I'll write it down.
It's a parallel with Zeus, but it's a negative. It has a very negative aspect in it that I just recently learned with the O-J-E-S-U-S, what S-U-S means. Horus, by the way, in the Indo-Germanic, Horus is deliverer. Okay, so Horus had sprung from the water of his divine Father, the cosmic sea. That's the waters of the Father, the cosmic sea, and from his decay, he had become the governor of Egypt. Okay, meaning the governor of all creation. That's what he said when he rose from the dead, right? All power has been given unto me. And then he goes back to the throne of the Son when he's taken up. This is from Budge, Book of the Dead, page 258. Continuing, other quotes. The higher self is the expression, and I believe this is from Gaskell himself. Gaskell does his own interjections in here, his own interpretations of these different ancient scriptures.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he was obviously a genius. Had to transcend knowing all of this. I don't know how he did this. The higher self in the expansion, which in parentheses is word, the expansion, the expression, or what we call Eshelbor, the eye of the royal center, symbolized by the sun, of itself endureth forever. The light endures forever. The self below, Horus, what Yeshua represented in the physical form, but the higher man, the perfect man, in the sacrifice of itself, is the sustainer of all that arises by means of it. The evolving self restores imperfection, the qualities proceeding from the involved divine archetype, Father. Okay, so obviously if we're in the world in imperfection, the only other state we can transfer into would be a state of perfection in all of our character, right? Look how perfect our body is, right? Our body, physically, is a miracle machine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How it keeps us going for all these years, right?
Yep.
Just give it a little food. We're not even eating good food, we're still going.
We're still going.
Strong with fast food, yeah. So the self has evolved from the emanation of the spirit within, and from the cessation of its externalizing activities. The self has become the ruler of the mental plane, called Egypt. Excuse me, I gotta take a sip here. Manichaeus says that the Elohim in his own nature was cut in pieces by the race of darkness. There you go, there's the fallen watchers. He was cut in pieces, right? And then we see him in all of these false traditions. Get the picture?
Yes. Yes, I do, Desert. Very much.
All right. Yeah. He's cut in pieces in all these different... It's also called the voice in Revelations. It's called the voice on the many waters. But it's not just about he's cut in pieces into false traditions, but he's actually all of creation. That's why when he said you didn't When you didn't visit the prisoner, you didn't visit me. When you didn't visit the hungry, you didn't visit me. Because we are him in physical creation, because he is the first atom. All other atoms came from the prototype, the proto-gene. Then everything else became a duplicate. And so because everything else was a duplicate, we have to become one with the one. And that's part of the great mystery. You see, and that's why it says we have to be in the body of the Mashiach. We have to be in him. We have to eat his flesh and drink his blood. We have to eat his words. We have to consume his nature. And there is our transformation in the process. Continuing. The race of darkness is a symbol of the forces of limitation and ignorance. They had the potential of unlimited potential and could live forever, but the fallen ones chose instead to be dark natures, what we might want to call demons or devils or Satan, any of these artificial words that have nothing to do with things other than that go bump in the night and they're not real. All these things exist only in our minds because it's people. It's all about people who are doing these things on earth, waging the wars, sacrificing children, raping them, killing, killing of our world. They killed our planet. You think these are invisible creatures? These are people that have poisoned our planet and have destroyed it, and destroyed the ozone layer, and have literally committed genocide in Paradise, California. These are people. And people want to talk about invisible creatures instead that are the problem, that don't exist. They created those invisible creatures that don't exist so that you wouldn't be looking at them.
Yeah, more misdirection.
Just like the criminal points the finger at you and says, you stole that loaf of bread, not me. He's got them looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to prove you didn't do it. And how do you prove you didn't do something?
Yeah.
But we know who's running our world, and it's these are the fallen ones. It goes right to the doorstep of the Aryan race. That's why Hitler, in his day, was flying the symbol of the sun and the Philpot, but it was also Japan was in on the deal. They had the sunrise as well, the zero on the on their flag, the red zero. So they're working for the unseen hand for the one world order, but this is a generational thing that has been going on our planet for near 10,000 years, at a minimum 8,000. So between the 10 or 8,000, the stretch could be 12, because time is an illusion in itself, and we don't know all how the our scriptures and how things were adjusted within these stories. So therefore, we have to be open to the fact that it could have been a little longer, than it's been given to us. And of course now the occult, who control all the documentaries of all Christianity, they even got Christians today thinking that the world's only 5,000 or 6,000 years old. Give me a break. The Aryans didn't got here. If you follow the timeline that's given to us, it was 8,000 years ago, easy. But it's more than that, probably, at least closer to 10. It's all an illusion, and it's not important about the exact timeline. What's important is getting the message about transcendence and about living forever. Like, Paul said, don't get caught up in genealogies and all, or your flesh or your race, because it doesn't matter. It's about spirit. Anybody can transcend. Doesn't matter whether you're black, white, yellow, red, green, or polka dot.
Yeah.
You have a spirit, and therefore you can transcend. The spirit has no bearing on the flesh or matter itself. It is in a house that is ultimately going to leave it, and in order to leave it, it has to be dressed with the Great Spirit. Otherwise, it is dead. Continuing, philosophers figuratively tell of tearing asunder and dismembering. And in these aspects, Apollo, that's from the Roman tradition, the Roman savior, is variously called Dionysius and Zegerus and Nectilius and Isodeity, and his destructions and disappearances, his death and his resurrection are fittingly expressing the true nature of the changes of the great Elohim, his essence, in the formation of the world. That's Plutarch on the E of at Delphi, on the E. That's something I haven't read yet. I have to get my Plutarch out just to figure that one out, what that E is representing. E does mean far away. I know that the etymology of the letter E is that which is far away. That's why it's in the word east, because it's talking about the sun. The east is the sun, and it's far away. The symbolism of the Elohim, Elohim, and their doings can be uncomprehended by philosophers who rightly approach the subject, free from the prejudices of scholars and mythologists. I like this one. Let me read that again. The symbolism of the great Elohim and their doings can be best comprehended by philosophers who rightly approach the subject, free from the prejudices of scholars and the mythologists. In other words, the ones who are controlling the information. You see?
Yeah, the experts.
That's what you got.
Yeah.
Be set free from these scholastics and these universities that are controlling the false narrative that are all under the control and auspices of the Vatican. Continuing, the higher self is symbolized under 1,000 names connected with ideas of emanations, sacrifices, obscuration, death, and resurrection, which symbolically express the true nature of the changes in the manifestation of the divine life during the formation and development of the soul, the shul, the place of knowledge. The theologists say the mind, the heart, in the metaphor. In this Dionysical dismemberment was preserved intact by the wisdom of Athena. There's your Aisha again, meaning the light. There's the feminine aspect of creation shining down on us. Eve continually falling down into the dark nature of this world, the light shining, nourishing, keeping everything going in this dismemberment. It was the soul that was first divided, and it was divided sevenfold. Okay, there's your 7 days of the week. That's Proculus. And 7 is a big, it's very symbolic in this because 7 represents time. In time, in the 7, we find a perfection. It's from the beginning, but we regarded it at the 7th day. But then when Yeshua rose, he rose on what's called the 8th day because he restored that which was from the beginning that nobody could receive until the end, which was 2,000 years ago. The casual body, heart, on the higher mental plane was not subject to the lower nature, but being immortal, it was carried over from involution to evolution. As the seat of the Buddhic or wisdom principle, Athena. That's the throne of the sun. That's the symbol of wisdom, the light. The lower soul or astral mental plane, what the astral mental plane, or astral mental nature here, but the astral mental plane, for anybody who doesn't get that, it's like being at nighttime, and you see all the stars, you see all the points of light, and they create pictures. But we're still in the darkness. We see the light at a distance, and then we're in this process in the astral mental realm is where we have to pull things together in the darkness of where we find ourselves right now. And what we hope for is the sunrise. And the sunrise is when we receive the great breath of the wind and fire, or rise from death and get the Holy Spirit. You see, that's what we're looking for, a sunrise, to rise from this death. And it happens here while we're on earth. And this is the race. The race for enlightenment and then for fulfillment in this in the great mystery. So continuing, I'll try that again. The lower soul or astral mental nature yielded its qualities in due order and sufficiency for the time being. There is no member of my body which is not the member of some other body. And I am the light day by day. This is the ancient again, philosophy of Meitzah, Budge, Book of the Dead. So we who are many are one body in the Moshiach, in Christ. We who are many are one body in the Moshiach, and severally members one of another. That's Romans 12:5. As the archetypal man, Eshan, or Moshiach, Christ, is divided into many qualities after involution, so the many qualities become one Moshiach, or Christ, after evolution. You see? So he's all things, but then all things that are scattered in infinite number, all then come back together as the one in the Spirit. The Spirit is one. The evolution of the soul is what this is talking about. Adam, the dam, the fiery magma, the blood of the earth, was one Eshan, one man, and is yet the entire Aryan race. He was broken, as it were, in pieces, and being scattered is now being gathered together and, as it were, co-joined into one by a spiritual fellowship and concord. And even though I identified him as the Aryan race, he represented all mankind, because, as it said, he was the first made on earth, and he was made from the blood of the earth before anything else on earth was made. Anything. And then he was taken up into the atom, falsely called Eden, which is the throne of the sun. And as it says clearly in our, I think it's 2nd Genesis, 2nd chapter, that while Yeshua made all things, he was made to name all things, and it was that Yeshua wanted to see what he would call them. You see, he had the gnosis breathed into him. He had something that no other race that came prior to his coming down into the garden when he fell asleep, as the metaphor goes, he had something, the knowledge that was breathed into him that was beyond all the other races. And he was supposed to bring truth to mankind, not deception, not slavery, not death, which is what he brought. So there's only one pure Aryan line that maintained the tradition, till Yeshua came. That was through the Davidic line. David also being a false word for Tabbat. Continuing. And the poor that groan as one blood of the earth, one man, is that same Adam. All of us. But in the Mashiach, he is being renewed. The second born. That Adam might renew to himself the image of the great Elohim, meaning of light, the atom, falsely called Eden. Of Adam, then, is Moshiach's flesh. Of Adam, then, is the Moshiach's flesh. We are his flesh and blood. Of Adam, the temple, which the Judeans destroyed, and the healer and sunrise raised up after 3 days and 3 nights. That comes from Augustine, Gospel of St. John, volume 1, 149. And Adam the Adam referred to is the Adam of the first chapter of Genesis, a symbol of the perfect archetypal man. Atma Buddhic, meaning light creation. The crucified Moshiach, again, who gives his life for the soul novation of humanity. His members or qualities are scattered in every earthly soul, the seed soul, the soul seed. Seed soul, I think I just said it reversed and it sounds better. Yeah. His members or qualities are scattered in every earthly soul and are now being gathered together, that every Moshiach may be renewed and revealed in us. That, I said that Moshiach may be renewed and manifested in us all as we show forth his qualities of wisdom and divine love in recognition of truth. and it has a whole list of references to go look up in the book further. And so, bottom line, what I wish I would have had seen, Ninja, in our last interview, right at the end, is what I will now share. Because in essence, when we see Yeshua nailed to the cross, we see Yeshua, when he was up there on the cross, that was also a picture and a metaphor of his spirit nailed to the tree of all matter and creation. He is the first Adam and the protogene of all things. And there you have the definition for dismemberment.
Wow. I'm just taking that last bit in, Desert.
Yeah.
It's like it's right there, but it took a lifetime of research for you to show it to us, and it's right there. That's amazing.
And that's why he said, "Forgive them, Father," because you see, everything is scattered.
Yeah.
Everything is broken. It's his purpose to bring it back together. He was willing to. In other words, he is the sacrifice right now. The fact that the sun is what represents him. And does the sun ever stop shining?
Not as far as I know.
No. It's constant. He's constantly attentive to who we are and where we are and what we're going through and what state we're in and whether it's time to give a little more water to the soul seed or is it time to maybe harvest that soul seed. You see? He's good to go.
Yeah.
The problem is us.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Wow. And I missed that last bit, Desert. Are we taking a break?
Yeah, we can take a break, and I've got when we come back, I'm going to go ahead and do the lower aspect and higher aspect of Maya. The word May, we all love May, don't we? Well, you may not down there because that's the fall, but up here
I was born in May. I was born in May, Desert.
May. You what's that?
I was born in May. 1st of May.
What day?
1st of May. May Day.
Oh, the 1st. I was born May 27th.
Really?
You were born on the day the Illuminati founded America.
Oh,
but,
wow.
I won't hold that against you. Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk because Maya, is another esoteric concept, of course, for mainstream Christians. They may get scared or run away from the computer, because they can't handle esoteric deep thinking, but the truth is that we came from an Eastern tradition. And what they did when they brought it west is they killed it. They killed us. They killed us with a birth certificate, and then they gave us religion, and the religion was dead. Because they control the words, they control the narrative, they control it all. And so we have to put the fragmented pieces back together in order to be able to see and read it for ourselves. And so these Eastern terms like Buddha, the Buddhic, it simply represents, the light. Brahm is Abraham, Brahm, that's his name, but they just put a little slant on it so we don't get the picture, and therefore we accept it. We didn't question it, but yet it's the same word, you see. And so these words are not evil by themselves. What they do is they tell us about relationship within the metaphysics of our nature and how they tell a story. They create pictures for us so that we can see. Words are used for communication, and they destroyed our foundational Eshavors, which is the original word for word in the beginning, is the Eshavor. That's the eye, the royal eye, and the royal center. The eye of the royal center, you see. The eye of the royal center is the sun. That is the great logo. That is where it all begins. And then it came out from the sun, the planets, and the moons. And then our lives, and so our spirits. So we have to go back to the light and make connections with things we never heard before. If we're going to listen to the same old rigmarole, Jesus loves you, yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so, I think we got salvation. soul innovation, then good luck, because it's about Yeshua brought us enlightenment, and I don't hear any enlightenment out there. I don't hear anybody being able to define a symbol or a metaphor or the ancient words themselves, and they're all reading Pig Latin, and it's all engineered outside the Vatican at a place called the College of Abbreviators, run by Jesuits, and people that drink our blood and want to kill us and wage all the wars on mankind. We think we're going to get truth through them? Break time.
Okay. Okay, we'll be back after this. I'm going to play. I'll play Desert's halftime music, flute music. It has a few samples from the dictionary in it. If you're new to this, it's worth a look. And then when we come back, purely because my V Mana video doesn't go for long enough to give us a decent break to go grab a cup of coffee, when we get back, I'll play the V Mana video. I found, for those who've already seen it, I found another one at the bottom of the cloud on that video. So anyway, see you guys after the break. Okay, and we're back. Actually, I might just have a quick look through the comments. And then I'll give you guys Desert's details, contact details. Where was it? I'm just scrolling. Welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl, and we are making history. Oh, Lynn said she'll send you an email on how she handles answering numbers she doesn't know.
Okay.
And I want to say hello to Quantum Entanglement. G'day. Good to have you here. And Take the Old Devil. Hi, Take. How's it going? And Lynn and Ya Love. I think I've already said hello, but love you guys. Love all of you. Okay. At the moment, I'll give you an update on Desert's computer situation. He has the computer, but he's waiting to get it set up. So my contact details are in every description of these live streams. So I can pass on messages to Desert. I can be the messenger. You can also contact Desert on 608 566 7295. That's 608 566 7295. If you're international, just add a +1 at the start. Also, since we are making history, Desert's working very hard on the most important transliterational project ever, and so if you would like to donate to help us get that going, any size donation will get you a free copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. There's also a PDF of the Book of Wisdom and a sample of the original gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary at the back. If you want copies of these, they're a really good way to get started if you're new to this information. If you want copies of these, just contact me at the moment on my email and I will get them to you. If you cannot afford to donate any money, we will get them to you anyway. I know times are tough for a lot of us at the moment. I think that's it. All the information will be in the description anyway. Okay, I'll put the little video on of my V manners that I caught the other day, and what looks like directed energy. The cloud goes really glitchy. It's really cool. And also, like, it's obvious, the main one, you can see it moving towards the cloud. If you look towards the end of the video, right at the bottom of the screen, directly underneath the V manner that is moving into the cloud, you'll see another one. There's two little flashy lights, orbs, whatever, that look very similar to the original one. Anyway, I'll put it up so you can see. And we'll continue. It's got music. Yeah, it's got music. I just have to make sure it's all muted. Okay, I think we're good to go. Hang on, it's not working. Oh, okay. It's not working. It was working the other day. Wow.
What are you saying
Yeah, I don't think they want anybody to see my video.
Oh, you were trying to upload something, right?
It's already set up in here. Like I played it and everything to make sure it was set up properly, and it's just a black screen. It's just
okay. Well, then take it down. Just back out of it. That'd be the best thing to do.
Yeah, I'll put the flowers up and then I'll try and put it. I'll just try one more time. Nah, black screen. Oh well. I'll save it for the next one. Wow. Okay, well, if you want to have a look at it, if you haven't seen it, it's on my channel. It's I think it's the second last video that I've done. Second last? Yeah, anyway, it's near the top of the list. The title is has the word V manners in it and hologram glitch, I think I named it. Anyway, Desert, let's continue with some good news, shall we?
Alright. So
okay.
We're reading, as we were earlier, from the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths. And some of them are really profound. And most of them, of course, are from the Mediterranean world. That was really where it was happening. But mythologies around the world are speaking very loudly about our creation and how things got to be the way they are. Joseph Campbell did a presentation. He was a foremost mythologist, and he did a presentation called The Hero's Journey. And so this archetype of the Savior was found universally around the world. So it's, ingrained within our history. So now on to the term called Maya. And so May, that's why what we call Egypt was really called Mitzrayim, which is the corruption. It's Meitzarayim, and it's plural, or we could call it the singular Meitzar. And so Meitzar, you hear the word May.
Yeah.
Therefore, it has to do with that time of year when everything is blossoming and blooming and perfect, within creation. Okay, and so and just to clarify, did you give out the website, Ninja? Did you give out the
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think
give that out real quick, if you would, because I'm setting up.
Okay, and I've got a little circle thingy. Love just said in the comments that it's buffering, so yeah. I'll wait and see if it comes good. I don't know. It's still I've still got a green line, but it's got the circle thingy. Okay, Lynn can hear. All right, we'll continue. Okay, the website, Desert Owl's website, is called www.therealpublicradio.net. That's www.therealpublicradio.net. You can go there to donate, and just maybe send me an email, let me know so I can pass it on that you've donated, and I can get you some PDFs. And yeah, because Desert doesn't really have access yet, so, but yeah, it works. The website is up and running again. Okay, yep, Lynn can hear us. Love is buffering, so, and I'm still buffering, so will we continue?
Okay, so we'll talk about Maya. I'm not sure how they have a long line above the A, so I don't know if it's pronounced Maya. It may be the lower half. So there's two aspects and two definitions. So we'll start with the lower aspect of Maya. And by the way, May backwards is yam, and therefore it means roots. And so when we have the springtime and the perfect weather in the northern hemisphere, here in the south, but when we have this blossoming of springtime, it's it's an expression of recreation, and also a reflection on something from the beginning, the sprouts coming forward, the roots, bringing forth life from what appeared to be dead. So it's a reflection of the greater creation at the same time. There's a lot going on with this, so I just want to qualify that a little bit. So Maya, in the lower aspect, is a symbol of the elusiveness of the lower planes, which are inverted reflection below, which are the inverted reflection below of the truth that is above. Everything's reversed. It's a reverse image. The great intellectual truth, which the Upanishads taught before Kant, that this entire universe, with its relations in space, on the astral plane, is consequent manifoldness and dependence upon the mind that apprehends rests solely upon an illusion called Maya. Maya is the illusion. What we see springing every year, it goes away, right?
Yeah.
We see the beautiful springtime, then it goes away.
Yeah.
And so it's a constant sunrise, sunset. That'd be another aspect of Maya, because everything is temporary in this universe. Only spirit is permanent. So let me back up a little bit. It's consequent manifoldness and dependence upon the mind that apprehends rests solely upon an illusion called Maya. Natural indeed to us, owing to the limitations of our intellect, and that there is in truth one being alone, eternal, exalted, above space and time, multiplicity and change, self-revealing in all the forms of nature, and by me, who myself also am one and undivided, discovered and realized within as my very self, as the Atman that comes through the philosophy of the Upanishads. How keenly, as one grows older, the idea, and by the way, just because somebody hears where it comes from and they either don't know what that means, the Upanishads, where it comes from, is irrelevant to what I just read, because if you can see and read it for yourself, you know that was just expressed in those words is an absolute truth. It's foundational truth it's our Christian truth, just wrapped in another dressing, but it's so profoundly perfect in what it just said. So play it back again and listen real slow. Continuing, how keenly, as one grows older, the idea enforces itself on the heart that all the events and experiences of this life are but Maya. How clearly one sees that all the light of this world is but a false radiance. It's an image, it's a projection of something greater. And that all its seeming realities are the tricks and shows of a grand illusion. Nothing is. Everything passes, flits by, sparks, and vanishes. A new quote. The world is a spiritual world, merely employing matter for its own manifestations. Ever since I was a little child, I have been impressed by the unreality of the material world and the events which are taking place in it. I can well remember, as a boy, the strange feeling I often had that I was not at home in it.
Wow.
That it was unsubstantial, a mirage which might easily disappear, and that in any case, the true world was somehow hidden behind it, and occasionally shining through. In the strenuous activities of latter life, this feeling lessened. Though it never wholly left me, and how it has come back with almost the same intensity as in childhood. And since my spiritual life has deepened and matured somewhat, I find myself growing more aloof from the appearances and preoccupations of the visible world, and concentrating more and more upon the permanent realities underlying it and the purpose of my being here. Not that I take no account of the present world or tell myself that it does not matter. Excuse me. On the contrary, I feel that it matters far more deeply than at present we are able to realize. But it does not matter in the way it seems to matter. It matters for something else. All that we say or do, feel, think, and not otherwise, think or know, matters in relation to the eternal and not otherwise. Let me read that last segment real perfectly. On the contrary, I feel that it matters far more deeply than at present we are able to realize. But it does not matter in the way it seems to matter. It matters for something else. All that we say or do, feel, think, or know matters in relation to the eternal and not the other way around. That's R.J. Campbell's sermon, The Sense of the Eternal. Then it says to go see Hein, illusion, matter, nectar, phenomena, akrati, parusha, separation, and womb. And then now we're going to read Maya, the higher aspect. We just read the lower. Now we're going to read the higher. A symbol of primordial truth, the feminine aspect of deity, which brings forth the soul, the soul seed. To King Suddhodana, there was a queen named Maya, as if free from all deceit, Maya. An effulgence proceeding from the effulgence, like the splendor of the sun when it is free from all the influence of darkness. A chief queen of the united assembly of all queens. Buddha Karita. So again, reflecting on the sun, the great flower in the sky. To the manifesting self, there is committed a counterpart which is feminine, passive, and she is the embodiment of pure truth, the opposite of illusion. The truth is said to proceed from the self, inasmuch as it bears witness to the self-existent, and it is the concrete expression of that which transcends the manifest. The splendor of the sun is referred to, since upon these high planes the self is above all temporalities, which produce shadows in matter. Truth or wisdom upon this exalted plane or condition of being is the supreme fact of all facts, which makes declaration to the self-existent one, the being of all beings. If illusion is traced to its source, truth will be found. There you go.
Wow.
I think we're stumbling on some truth.
I think, yeah, possibly. That's, yeah.
There's an old saying that I used to mention every now and then when I used to broadcast way back when, and I said it's a quote. Every now and then, somebody trips and falls down flat on their face, and they discover the truth. But then some of them simply pick themselves up and move on as if nothing ever really happened.
Yeah, I can see that. There's truth in that, Desert.
So it's a constant work. You know, it's a walk, it's a work, and it's truth isn't going to come to us on a silver platter. You know, wrapped in pencil gold.
Yeah, we have to work for it. We have to look for it.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Yeah. You know, it's a struggle, and we, you know, I'm reading dictionaries because I know that the answer is in the communication device because that's where they put us under the spell. They control the words, so they put us under a spell of false spelling, of false diction, of false, another false reality on top of a false reality. Right?
Yeah, layer upon layer, upon layer, upon layer.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, these people, like the politicians, they kiss your babies every election when they kiss you off. The priest, you know, wants you to come confess your sins to him. You know, confess to a man. You know, in a booth wearing all black. Somebody wears black all the time. There's got to be something wrong with them, right?
Right. I'm seeing parallels with everything you say. Like it's got to the point. I was saying something similar in a little chat the other day. It's got to the point where the deception is so complete. Yeah, you have to separate yourself. You have to run in the opposite direction to the crowd. You have to look at everything as opposite to what it seems. And peel back all the layers. Like it is that complete. Yeah. Wow. And sorry, you were saying?
No, I'm just got some cards in front of me. I was going to go over a couple symbols, and I saw a really profound one the other day for the first time. I knew the meaning of the symbols independently, but I never saw them together, and it's in our face. But I'll give one example. You know, the simple symbol, which is the horse. We talked about that, about having to you know, conquer the horse, and which is representative of our body, which is the serpent. And so the horse symbolizes also on a higher plane the intelligence and spirit. So a horse is a really special creature because we can ride on the back of it, and it takes us somewhere very quickly. And they're very high-strung creatures. You know, we have to really respect these animals. You know, I was bucked from a horse once, having a little fun with it, and I learned my lesson. I'm never gonna, you know, make that mistake.
Yeah, that
you know,
almost.
Of course, when you're young,
you
play around, you know, and so I had to walk home. My horse went home without me, you know.
Wow, that almost happened to me once. Almost. I stayed on though. Yeah, it kind of went a little bit nuts, and then bolted with me on it, and it was just hungry. It went straight towards the pile of hay. So and then stopped.
There you go. They're not dumb, and so they have to be respected. And then that's really the case with all creatures. Of course,
they're beautiful.
Should be respected.
Yeah.
But some are have, you know, they're all different. They all serve us in many ways, and you know, cats and dogs, beautiful, and yet they each have a different quality. And you know, the cat sometimes, you know, has quite a bit of an attitude. You know, where the dog, you know, usually is good to go. Like, okay, you know, so the dog with the cat, you know, you never, you know, see the pictures of them putting a cat on a leash. Ain't gonna work, right?
There's a guy here that walks his cat on a leash. I tried it with my two, and nah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even let me put a collar on them.
So there's something about the cats, you know, that ain't quite right, and it takes a little meditation to figure it out. But getting on with symbolism, now we can talk about the cat under the Catholic Church. Because,
wow.
They own the political states of the world, basically. But there's still a front office. They're not the final end. You know, as you know, I take you to the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood that's fighting in Switzerland and Tibet and Burma and northern India. And, you know, they're spread out, but they're the ancient occult And so the state called Washington, D.C. Is a city-state, and it's taken over the phony United States because there never were any really United States. It was all a front, all a shell game, and all the evidence is clear. America was founded on the principle of so-called freedom. Right out the gate, slavery occurred. And we can discover those things by reading the works of Lysander Spooner, or the old story about Emerson and Ralph Waldo Emerson and who's that other guy? Another philosopher. They one of them ended up in jail right at the beginning of our nation because it always was a tyranny. It was tyranny means to put a tear in your eye because they pretend one thing but they're really something else. It was a slave racket. It was they used people. The original word for plantation was not some large piece of property with a giant house on it. The plantations, according to their own documents, were the people that they put over here.
Yeah.
We were the plantations that they planted so that we would then develop their society, grow, continue to multiply, and be their hard labor, work the field, be have ingenuity, and create things. Go to work for them. Ultimately, a workforce that would be unmatched and at any other time in history in this modern world. So that was the lead in then to these symbols here, because when you look at Washington D.C., the city-state of the District of Columbia, Columbia being the blind goddess of the occult Luciferian world, the Freemasons and the Kabbalists and the Jesuits and the whole group, an idea, merely an idea. There is no creature that runs around with a dress on and boobs and runs our world. She's an idea in the minds of men. The men who wear dresses are the ones that keep the fallacy, appropriate word, fallacy alive, because the Washington Monument, the first of these three symbols I'm referring to, is of course the Egyptian obelisk, but it is the representative of the serpent and of the phallus, and it's and also therefore the male erection, which then in front of that Washington Monument we see a water, a pool. I don't know if the fountain might be. It's a fountain without bubbling water. It's just a. Can we use fountain? I think we can, right? And it's just a long fountain of water, or a long pool of water, and it goes all the way straight to the Capitol. Have you seen that picture before, Ninja?
Yeah, I've seen it in the movies as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the long pool, the long drawn pool from the Washington Monument to the Capitol, then represents the female. If the obelisk represents the male, then the waters of that pool, that long pool, represent the female. And so the reflection of the water in the water happens every day. There's a reflection of the obelisk going into the water, and so it's a symbol of the male female having intercourse. The water representing the female aspect.
Wow, does it? Sorry, I just saw something.
Yeah.
Canberra is Masonic design, like Washington is, with the layout of the city, and we have what's called the Carillon down on a separate little island that you can walk across a bridge to. It's called the Carillon, and it's an obelisk disguised as a little bell tower, but it's straight up and down. It's an obelisk, and it's right on the edge of the lake, pool of water. Yeah. These are universal symbols, so they're going to be in more than one place. In many places, actually. So to continue, then at the opposite end of this intercourse, so we can call it an intercourse because it is a course of water that's going from one end to
to the other. And so it starts with the male erection, and then the female waters go all the way to the capital, which is at the capital is also at the point of a compass. So it's got two streets that come off, creating a compass, which is that Masonic compass and the symbol of the architect's compass, and therefore a symbol of creation. But what I found interesting when I saw this picture in my head the other day, I don't think I was looking at a real picture, it was just I saw it in the symbolism, that because I've talked about the symbolism of what the capital means. Capital is synonymous with the word chattel, meaning property, and capital itself is two words. It's kappa, tail, and the tail is the tally. Tally means to count, the count, and the kappa is the head. You put a cap on your head. The kappa tail means the head count, and so when they put the fountains of the woman, the fountain of the water of the woman between the male erection and the capital, what all those three symbols combined mean is, hey, you plantations that we're bringing over here, we want you to bring us the babies. Bring us as many babies as you can. We're going to put them on the birth certificate on the slave ship, swabbing the deck. We're going to put that birth certificate in Washington, in the Department of Commerce, and we'll put them on Wall Street when time is right, and where we sold our slaves from the beginning and inception of the United States of America. So the symbol of the male-female means have babies, because we are the capital. We will count your babies, we will enslave them, and you will be our property for all time.
Wow. More evidence, and you heard it here first on the Forbidden History Chronicles from Dezert-Owl.
And Confucius said,
wow,
signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor law.
Yeah.
So you can see by the design from the beginning, it was to be a slave state. That everything we see happening right now today, in all the genocide, all the insanity, all the garbage, it was all by design. None of it's an accident. None of it is a mistake. It was all by design.
Yep. All of it. Yep. I agree. I see it. And you just gave more evidence. Does it? That's wow.
Yeah. Signs and symbols. So we've got to be able to read them, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah. You know, an interesting symbol is the letter Q, because we see, if you go, to your dictionary, you'll find out that there are very few words in the English diction with the letter Q. In fact, it's just simply a false symbol. It's a symbol that was put into our diction to create a code and to dissuade from other words, to mix up our words again, so that we would not get proper pictures. And so what's interesting and think of the capital Q, if you make the small q, the minuscule letter of the Q, it goes below the line.
Yeah.
It has the tail that goes below the line, so that means it's underground. And just like the letter G, the small g, like the Masons wear the capital G on their ring, the small g goes underground and below the line. And so these symbols are also telling a story.
And
but
the
Y.
letter
Q,
wow, the little Y. Sorry, I'm just seeing stuff. Yeah.
But all the letters are above the line, right? All the letters, but you've got these two, the G and the Q, which look very much alike each other. They're very similar in certain elements. They're unusual in their element. And but so the capital Q, we'll focus on that, and it's a circle, and then it has a little tail. And I always thought, because it represented the queen, that it was the queen bee stinger, that came off of the circle. It was the sting of death, the queen. So she represents Lucifer, of course, in the mythology. And the CW is in the Old English. So the CW was the original in the Old English for the Q, the sound, the Q sound. But the K is actually the direct correlation with the Q. So the Q sound really comes from the K, which was then corrupted and they made a C. So this is how they mixed up our alphabet.
Okay. Yeah.
of great confusion of Babylon, you know, right?
Yep.
Right.
And also I noticed, didn't just notice, but the Q to be used in a word has to be paired with you every single time. Yeah.
Well, the U is also a corruption because it replaced the two O's in the primary. In the secondary, it replaced the V. The U and the V are switched out. S-U-N in the Latin is S-V-N, which is more appropriate because of the symbol. The V is the virgin light. The U is a corruption with another stinger on it, by the way. You look at the small U, it's got a stinger like the Q, right?
Yeah.
Sounds the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what is this? And I'm going to give the meaning of queen at the end of this, but I don't want to forget some other aspects of Q just to show you how the Q is a symbol of the queen that's running our world. The Indra, Indra is the male deity of Indra, the primary god of India, but Indrani is really the goddess, and Indra is known as the hidden woman. They present it as a male, but it's really the female, and it's Indrani. And so that's the queen in the Indian tradition that is draining. You hear the word drain at the end. And drain. She's the drain because she's sucking the lifeblood out of our world. She's the one who's instituted our one world order through the ancient Aryan watchers in this great cosmic nightmare we're in. And so let's look at the Q and see if it doesn't tell us something. When you have you've ever played the game of pool on a pool table?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay.
Back in the day. Yep.
Okay. So what ball hits all the other balls?
The Q. Oh, the Q. Oh. the cue ball.
Right. And when
the black ball. Desert.
Yeah. So the Q. So you can't move the other balls unless you hit the cue ball, right?
Yes. Please continue. Sorry, I'm just wowing it. Oh, wow.
The cue ball moved everything. Right?
Yep.
Cue ball moved everything. And so I'll probably I'll do a thing on chess as well. So it fits in, since we're talking about the symbolism, and I'll do chess here.
Yeah, the checkerboard floors and all that sort of thing, and yeah.
Because I'm doing this all off the top of my head, so I'm going to miss some of the cue elements, but at least I'll give some examples so people can pursue it, and maybe somebody will come on and share it with us. And I don't want to forget the meaning of the symbol itself, the Q. I'm leading up to a meaning of the symbol of the capital Q. And I'm writing down because I don't want to forget. All right, and so. But look at the picture, because the picture will tell the story once I get to it. So if you're on a stage and you're going to be an actress, and I'm gonna say, okay, well, Ninja, you can't say anything until I give you your
cue. Wow.
I give you your cue, right? So I got to give you the cue. So this queen must be pretty powerful, right?
Yeah.
She's pretty powerful. She moves all the balls on the table.
Wow.
You don't talk until she tells you.
Wow.
You get the picture?
Yeah. I want to say something about the black ball, but I don't want to keep going.
Well, the black ball, that's the 8 ball, right? 8 is the number of return. Let's talk about it. I would have not, if you didn't mention that, I wouldn't have said anything. But let's talk about it.
And it gets sunk last.
In the middle, right?
Yeah, and it's black and it's darkness and it goes down into a hole.
No, wait a minute.
But yeah.
Let me lead up to it, because it's the 8 is the number of return.
Yeah.
Remember I said that Yeshua rose on the first day of the week, but it was also known as the 8th day?
Yeah.
That's when we have our sunrise, right? 8 is the number of return.
Yeah.
You've heard me talk about it?
Yep.
Okay. So 8 is then, and therefore is the 8th day is when we had the sunrise, when Yeshua rose from the dead, ushered in the new age of the golden age of light. And so what they did is they took the number 8, and which is the symbol of the sun and the symbol of light, and turned it into a black ball called the black sun. And,
wow.
And so they want everybody going after the 8 ball. They have a game called 8 ball, but it's a slam on the illumination that Yeshua brought to mankind 2,000 years ago.
And the cue ball is white. No coincidence.
And the cue ball is white when it's really dark. The cue ball is actually black, and the 8 ball is actually white. They reversed it. Very good.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And so let's ask the question: how come, back in the 1950s, thereabouts, when the Queen of England, Elizabeth, she marries Prince Philip, right? He's from Greece, I think, and she's from Scandinavia, something like that. They agree, yeah, we're going to be the head of the empire, so they come from different parts of the world, prearranged marriage. And then, so how come she's called the queen, but he's not the king?
I know, that's, yeah.
He's the prince, right?
Yeah.
He's the prince.
He shouldn't be a prince, he should be a king.
To the queen, right?
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, are we stupid?
Apparently.
Well, I'm not. I get it. He's a symbol. He can't be king because she's the queen, and it's a matriarchy of an occult Luciferian world.
So
there is no king.
So
the king is dead.
So back in the day, when they had kings, there would always be a queen alongside the king, wouldn't there? But now it's flipped, and there's a queen, but there can't be a king. There can't be a king
because it's all symbolism. You gotta be able to read the symbol, right? So look at the British flag. You got the X and the cross combined, right?
Yeah.
And so where do we find that symbol? That very same symbol. Do you know where we find it?
We find it everywhere. I'm just
no. 0 point, ground zero. I've shared it on the broadcast. I knew you heard it. You forgot it now.
Yeah.
It's found right outside the Vatican in the keyhole.
Oh yes,
right?
yes. I remember. Yep. I remember that program. You explained in great detail. Yeah.
Symbol of creation.
Yeah.
The obelisk is right at the center point of that flag with the X and the cross. Right?
Yep. Wow.
So the queen represents the Vatican because she represents Lucifer, their great idea. Their woman, their illusory serpent cult that wants to conquer the world. The woman is men in dresses, the cardinals, the priests, the judges, all following the Babylonian Talmud, all of them.
Yeah, all connected. Yeah.
Yeah. So the queen has the Q. So let's look at the. I know there's other definitions of the Q, and I just don't have them off the top of my head right now. So let's just get to the one that I discovered the other day in my Indo-Germanic dictionary.
Okay.
And it is. It said that the word for what the word queen meant was mill. Look at the symbol, mill. Like when you grind grain and wheat on a millstone, you push it around in a circle.
Yeah.
You push the handle around. You see the Q, the capital Q? It looks like a millstone, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see? And so the queen has us going around in circles, pressing the grinding stone for her, grinding for her, working for her. Like I said, the plantations, right?
Yeah.
You see? So there you go.
Wow.
The queen is in the like I said, when they took out the sacred name of Yahweh and they put in Adonai, which means sunrise. The sun rises in the east first in India. Lord, when they change it to Lord in English, it means the mother who gives us our bread. In the Etymological Dictionary, who is the mother who gives us our bread, gives us our grain, gets us grinding the millstone? It rises first in India before it rises in the West, does it not?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and so if you follow the movie, the TV series Stargate, I was amazed.
That was my favorite show.
Outside the house,
yeah.
I was stuck outside my apartment for a year, and staying with two different friends, and I was my old sponsor who loves Stargate had the entire series, and so I got to watch it.
So did I.
Because she wanted to watch it, and at the end, it showed a picture, of this one craft that all the people that were flying in this spacecraft were from India, and they're wearing their Nehru shirts with the Masonic square in the collar, which means that they speak for Freemasonry, and that they were sucking. They turned a Stargate on its side horizontally, and the ship went right over it and just dropped all the produce from this planet. All the produce from this one planet went right through the Stargate into their world, and it was telling us what they were doing to us. It was all about us, our world, what they're sucking us dry for, everything.
Yep. Every single episode has had so much truth in that show.
They took it to the bank because they realized that was the best vehicle for expressing their their own mythology within our world.
Yeah. And
tells
people would
story.
just love it and watch it for entertainment, which is what I did when I first saw I watched it.
The fact that Teak had the serpent in his body, the symbiote, means it was symbolic of the fact that we are the serpent. You couldn't live without the serpent in him, right?
Yeah. I can see it all now. Like I've seen that complete series like over and over because I loved the show because I loved anything weird. And the more I learned, each time I watched, the more I saw it for what it really is. And wow, just thinking back now with what you've shown us as well over the last almost a year. Oh no, what? About 9 months ish. Yeah. Just wow. Just
Okay, so let's So all the games, all the games we have today, not all of them, but you know what I mean. The original ones, like the dice, they come out of India. All this stuff came out of the Indus Valley. There's your word, industry. They created industry, and so the Indus Valley had the 5 rivers, and it dried up through geological movement, and therefore, after 1,000 or whatever 1,000 years, then the river started running dry, and climate changed or whatever, and so the Indus Valley then dried up on the vine, but it was the first industrial center, and they found these games there, and so chess is another game that came out of India, and so the chess game is their game, and so notice the king again, talking about the king and the queen
and the pawns.
So who's got all the power on the board?
Yep.
Tell me.
the queen. The queen.
Oh, the queen. Oh, and the king, who has the least power on the board?
The king and the pawns. The king can only move. I'm trying to remember. It's been ages since I've played chess. The king can only move one space.
The pawn is actually better off than the king because they can make a two space move the first time out the gate. The king can only go one move at a time.
Yeah, go one move at a time. Yeah.
One space. Yeah. So then who's on both sides of the king and the queen?
Who's on both sides of the king and the queen? I'm just trying to think. Bishop or the horse? What?
The bishop.
The bishop.
The religion.
Okay. I was right.
They're surrounded by religion.
Yeah. And they go at angles. Is that a coincidence?
Yeah, that's right. They go sideways. They kind of slip through the walls, right?
Yeah.
They don't go across the board the way everybody else does.
No, they're crooked.
They squeeze through the crack.
Yeah.
So on both sides of the king and queen, then they're surrounded by the religious priesthood. So maybe they better do what they're told, right?
Yeah.
Maybe so. They may get burned at the stake, right?
Wow.
And then next to him you got the knights.
Yeah, the horse.
Walking in the darkness, and they don't move straight either. They move in an L shape.
Yeah.
Where Elohim illuminated.
Wow.
And therefore they can go one space one way and then 2 spaces another way.
Yeah.
And they can jump over people. Whoa!
Wow.
What a power of the knights. Silent K in front of them.
Yeah.
Which is also the silent Q. So the K and the Q are the same letter, you see?
Yeah.
And and so then at the outside, then you have the castle, which is the cast L. The castle is the cast of the L, the enlightened, the Illuminati, who then set up their castles all around Europe and just drew lines in the sand and said, okay, you'll be France, you'll be Portugal, you'll be Germany, you'll be Spain, you'll be Scandinavia, you'll be, and so they just, they were all speaking form of the original Indo-Germanic, and by drawing the lines in the sand, the priesthood engineering their letters and their diction and the sounds they make, then they engineered what looked like foreign states when they were all from the same source, out of Venice, Venice, Italy, formerly the Phoenicians and the Etruscans.
I'm still picking my jaw up off the floor, does it?
Yeah.
It's all there right in front of us. It is all there right in front of us. Wow. In our face.
So so not only are they the pieces on the chessboard, they own the chessboard.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
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 We're the pawns in the game.
Is this a good time to remind you, I wrote it down, to bring up the word Jesus, and you mentioned the last part of the word, and I wrote down something that immediately came into my head, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, well, I've got to grab a book here to see if I can find it now, because I realized I didn't have, but I think I can find it. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Okay.
It was the SUS.
Yeah, I wrote something down.
Yeah, it wasn't good, I'm telling you what it was.
Yeah, what I wrote down isn't good either.
Yeah, you know what, I may have put it on the cards. Let me go through a couple cards. Okay, so 0 is the symbol of 0 and infinity at the same time. So 0 is a profound mystery number. It means nothing and it means everything at the same time. 0 and infinity for the 0. Okay?
Yep.
And so I'm going through some symbols. Z, you can see the letter Z if you look at it correctly, that is a symbol of exchange from one point to another. A is the symbol of sunrise. And Zeus goes, okay, so oh boy, where was that? I'm gonna have to look for it now. Ninja, I think that's the only thing I'm gonna be able to do is try to go back and find that. I usually write at the top and bottom of pages, so I seem to be in the wrong book. No, A-N-G as in English, or angles, or the Anglo-Saxon A-N-G, the prime root A-N-G is also means the serpent. Okay, so take note of that.
Well, do you want me to tell you what I saw? Or
sure,
I don't want to jump ahead. But yeah. Yeah? Will I? Do you want me to say it?
Yes.
Okay. The end of the word is S-U-S. As you know, down here in the land of Oz, we're lazy when it comes to speaking. So we shorten everything. We shorten the word suspect to sus a lot. For example, that sounds really sus, what that guy's saying. Suspect. And that's what I saw. And just going with the word Jesus, which is wrong, I just saw that fits. That's all. That's what I saw. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's interesting, to say the least. And if I could find the meaning of this word, it would be, here's one, democracy. Literally, if we realize D in certain of the European tongues means the, D like, I can't even think of a good example, but D means the. So democracy means the mockery. There you go. That explains the democracy, right?
And the word demon is in there, isn't it? Almost? No, I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, democracy is demokritos in the Greek, and it means the demon creation. And the demons are the Freemasons.
Yeah.
They're the defenders of the democracy.
Yeah. Wow. You're still looking
I'm looking while we're talking. I'm looking at your...
Okay.
I've got nothing else to do, Ninja, but talk to you on this on the broadcast. I mean, when I say that, I mean that's really what it's all about, is communicating these these deeper meanings. I realize that we'll never have a big following, because most people you lose them with the deep stuff in about 10 minutes, and they want something that's short and simple. Don't give them too much depth, because they can't wrap their minds around it. That's why we only have about a dozen dedicated listeners or less, because people are on the surface. They're children. They're children in adult clothing, in uniform, and they're never going to wake up, because the mind control has been so fantastically great.
That's it. It has to be deprogrammed. We have to completely deprogram everything that we know and reprogram to get to the truth and the light and Yeshua, which is the simple part, but people don't want to do the work, or they can't see it. Yeah, because there's so much to wade through to get there.
Yeah. Here's a definition. Here's a definition of the word God. God is the black sun. That's what it means.
Wow.
As you know, we use the original term, so we use Yabohe, which is the correct form of Yahweh, Yabohe, and you can know it because the word is still preserved in the Germanic today, and it's an affirmative, Yahvol, and the vol has to do with volume, and of course all the volume of everything is created by the one who made all things.
Yeah.
And so it's the Yabohe, the head is the breath. So then Elohim, which is more typical for the use of God, specific, is the light. And so, but God, who we call God, is in the primary the Pope, and literally the G-O-D, with the D at the end of it, it literally means the gold circle of darkness. The G. Okay, look at G-O-D. Okay, you got the G, and in the middle you got the circle. At the end, the D is a half circle, which is a symbol of darkness. That's why it begins with darkness, begins with the D. So read the letters in the lexicography as a hieroglyph. G-O-D is gold circle of darkness. Do you see it?
I see it. Wow.
Gold circle of darkness. That's what it means. And then also we could say the golden circle of destruction. Yep. And backwards, of course, you get dogs, and the dogs are the priesthoods and the Freemasons. That's just fitting of their masters.
See, so many people see that. Sorry, I keep butting in. So many people see that, like just the reversal of the word God, and that's in so many, like just that basic one is everywhere through the English language, but they see it as more of a novelty code. They won't dig any deeper, or they don't know how to dig any deeper. But that's a clue to investigate further. And I did the same thing. I didn't investigate further. Like a few years ago, I looked into the reversal of words and a few connections here and there, and then moved on to something else. Got distracted and moved on to something else. So thank you, Desert. I'm so glad I came full circle. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you fixed your computer. That was getting rough there.
Yeah, it was full. I filled it up with too many. This is where I store all my, because my phone doesn't have any storage. This is where I store all my Sky footage, and it's just, and download everything, and it's full. So I had to go buy more storage. I had to pay for more storage, and now it's running smoother. Yeah.
All right, I found the SUS. Okay.
Yep. 1 second. G'day, Duck. Right, Duck's here. G'day. How's it going?
Are you sitting down?
Duck is here. Down? Yes, I'm sitting.
Okay. So US, by the way, just for your information.
Yeah.
the etymology of US, as in us, or in as we see it in Zeus, Zeus, as in the Greek mythology, Zeus represents the sun, and the primary element of the light is the US, the us, as we hear it in juice, the juice that flows, the light, and so the US, and therefore, and as you see the 50 stars on the American flag representing the lights of states, there's your U.S. again. It's the U.S.
Wow.
Which is again the symbol of light. And so, what was interesting then with SUS, it gave the definition here of SUS, and we find it therefore. In other words, you know how Jesus is a type of Zeus, that they're both Greek, come from the Greek, and Jesus, the word comes out of the word Zeus. You know about that, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's interesting about Jesus versus Zeus is it ends with an S-U-S, where Zeus doesn't. And in this etymological dictionary, it says that S-U-S means a pig's snout.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. So they're called this. So Zeus in the Greek is in the Indo-Germanic in particular is the swine's snout, and that's what they think of Jesus. Just like they gave us a black sun with the 8-ball and all the other nonsense of their games.
Yeah.
That's how they slam the Savior of the world one more time.
Wow. Wow.
That's why we don't want Jesus when we know the truth. We want Yeshua because that means the knowledge that goes round, and that's what we need. Not a false name, right?
Right. That's why you remember me saying to you that after not knowing all my life, just over a year ago, I finally knew that Yeshua was real, but I didn't know what to call him because there were so many different versions out there, different names, and yeah, none of them felt right. And yeah, so that's I think that's instinct just told me to because I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know how to pray. Like, I'd only prayed once from my heart, and that was to pray for a miracle for Ninja, the cat, a week before, for him to survive. Yeah, so I just, instinct told me to just do what I was doing when it happened, and that was just to sit quietly and be still. And so that was my connection. That was how I did it. And yeah, I'm just really grateful, really grateful for this past year. It's been amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you've come a long way, Ninja. I'm so honored to, have had the experience with you to share in your journey. Obviously, the Father brings us together for a reason, and you're the only one who apparently wants to interview me on the planet, and that's okay. I'm very happy for that.
I love being the only one. I still can't get over that. But
it just shows the problem we have when we got thousands of radio hosts out there, and not one of them. I had a list of 250 in my database. I periodically would send them my stuff, and either they're a Christian radio station or they're a patriot, truth-telling radio station, and yet not one of them. When I can talk, as you read my introduction, there's no stone I have left unturned, and I can talk to some degree on any topic,
on anything.
practically.
Yeah.
And they're just confused because they're still in the illusion. The greatest irony of what I found in what we call the Patriot movement is that after people woke up to the fact that it's another world, like Robert F. Kennedy said it best, if I can remember his quote correctly. He said, he was, of course, the brother of John Kennedy, who was assassinated, and at the time, he was the Attorney General of the United States and ran for president after that to take America back in reality. And then he was assassinated, and just prior to his assassination, he had a profound quote. He says, I learned something that I never knew before. I learned that my world is not the real world.
Yeah.
And so he learned the hard way, of course.
Yeah.
He had to wake up. The Kennedys are an Illuminati family. They were in the Illuminati. Their father, Joseph Kennedy, was a bootlegger, bringing alcohol into America contrary to the American laws. But of course, they make the laws to injure the people. They're not subject to the laws. They're above the laws. They do what they want to do. They're engineering our world and our society. It's just a great tragedy. What we're having to experience. Hebrew came out of Babylon. I finally realized the reason that these people who call themselves Jews today, which are speaking Yiddish, Hebrew, not really Hebrew at all, but Yiddish, has nothing to do with the original Hebrew race. Actually, the Hebrew script came out of Babylon, and I now realize that was, of course, after the annihilation and the decimation and the banishment of the entire race of Israel, Israel, and then the people that came back were surplanters and actually Babylonians, and they brought the Babylonian Talmud with them. And so I know now the reason that the Yahweh and Yeshua gave them these, what we call the Hebrew script, the square root script, is so that we wouldn't be able to miss them. So we would know them, by their tree that they blossom from, which is not a pretty blossom because it's dripping with blood. But so the people who want to learn Hebrew are buying into the illusion again, because they're controlling the narrative, just like they gave us this Mezorite text called the Old Covenant by the Mezorite Jews, who are subscribing to themselves the original title for what we call Egypt, which was actually Mitzrayim. You see, so the grand illusion. But what they're implying with the word, you see, what they're calling themselves is the May, as I talked about Maya, they're calling themselves the Mezar. See, the Mezar. The Mezar, what's it mean? It means the mother's eye of a star. That's what springtime is, the mother's eye of a star. It's the beautiful time, the power of a star bringing forth life. You see, so they're claiming to be the power of the sun. Well, everything they do is to create a black sun of occultism.
Yeah, and that's why they have the eye above the pyramid on the money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Aisha. They put the Aisha on their money that they stole from us. The
and put in God we trust.
Of our enlightenment, they put on their dollar bills. They're, like Yeshua said, you took the keys of knowledge. You're hiding them from everyone else. You're not going, and you're not letting anyone else in. And they put it on the dollar bill right in our face, showing us where we come from and where they don't want us to go, and they're not going.
Yeah. Wow. I had a thought. I had a thought while you were speaking just then. It doesn't really have anything to do with the eye on top of the pyramid, but anyway, I've been wondering for a while and keep forgetting to ask when people are baptized in the false religion, what is speaking in tongues? What is that? That's not supposed to happen, is it? Like,
no. When one receives the Spirit, they will speak in a heavenly tongue, and so, but that happens privately in the Great Mystery, and when you were praying, that's when you rise from the dead, when you receive the Spirit. That's when you are clothed with the light.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah. So that's just another false thing. But I don't know. How is it explained? Like how are people suddenly doing this, speaking in tongues in the false religion when it's all fake? How and what they go through feels real? How?
Well, they just bought into a lie. Okay, what they're doing is they're lying to themselves because these typically are what we might call what was called also the charismatic movement. I used to go to those when I was young. Before I woke up, I went to them, and I even pretended to pray in tongues along with them. You see, because they'll all say, "Yield your tongue, yield your tongue." Oh, they're trying to help you to do it. Like you're going to do it yourself. You can't do it yourself.
Okay.
It's an experience that will happen at a moment maybe when you even least expected it, only because you have committed yourself to a higher calling and will not participate in falsehood, and because the truth is not a part of any lie. And at that point in the great mystery, you will have that experience, and you will find yourself, of course, in the truth very alone, because everyone else is into the lie. You see, that's why I've been alone all my life in this experience, because I would rather be alone with the truth than in the sea of lies, and that's religion. Baskin Robbins, 600 different flavors. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Have it your way.
That's what. Yeah. I just avoided religion. Completely avoided it.
And by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So purify your heart and your mind, and dedicate your entire life to Yeshua, and he will come and have supper with you, and that's when he will fill you with his great breath of the wind and fire. It's a life work. It's a work that is it's a gift. What it's called in the scriptures, a promise to Abraham Haim. It's the promise that came to the visions of Abraham Haim when he says, your seed will be like the stars of heaven. That was the promise to Abraham Haim. And the way we become stars of heaven is to rebreathe. So when we talk about repenting, as it is in the word, it means to rebreathe the breath of a star. So in our coming out of the waters, through the stargate of purification, the water when we are baptized correctly up of the Dezert. Then when we come up in the body of Yeshua, and then we continue to work on ourselves to become perfect in the great mystery, and to perfect all the things that we do, perfect all of our ways, all of our thoughts, all of our actions, and our speech. And then in this great mystery, he will come and breathe in us the true breath of a star that breathed into the sun, the same breath that moved across the cosmic waters, then breathed into the sun and said, "Let there be light," will breathe into you. The same breath that breathed into the sun and ignited it is the same breath that wants to breathe in you. And it will happen at the time, perhaps when you least expect it, but it's only because it will happen because of your full commitment to this purpose and cause, you see. And so it's not a part of any group, because you can look at the way you can know is you can look at how they live. You look at what the people do, how they talk, the things they say, the things that they really care about, and you will know them. It says you know a tree by its fruit.
Yeah.
And therefore you will not find this in any giant congregation anywhere, because they're all just typical to the sinners of the world. In fact, I'd rather be a good sinner than a good hypocrite. But all these people in these large institutions, all of them are doing the things that are contrary to the scriptures. And if they weren't, they wouldn't be there. You see.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I just wanted to mention, I just saw while we were talking, I saw one more element. When we talked about the word Jesus and the latter part of the word, I looked at the first part while we were talking and said, what's the first part? The latter part of it. And there it was, the G, the J-E, the J replaces the Y. And so when you get Jesus, you got Jesus, and what Jesus means, ye, meaning you. Well, literally every time somebody says Jesus, they say, "You big snout."
Oh no! No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just like when they say Yeshua, which is found in the Babylonian Talmud, Y-E-S-U-H, Yeshua, Y-E-S-H-U-A. I'd have to do it on paper. I'm just doing it off the top of my head, and my head's spinning. But Yeshua in the Babylonian Talmud means may your name be blotted out forever. So it's another curse on Yeshua out of our sacred scriptures. You see how they these Jews played the game, they did it to us. You know, they're the ones who did orchestrate that.
My phone
You know?
just did a just beeped, just did a big beep. You'll hear it during the playback when you said that. So yeah, you speak truth. You speak the only truth in this world. Yeah.
Well, the great mystery opened up through the words. When I climbed that mountain 40 years ago for a vision, because I saw how inferior I was in His creation, what my parents did or didn't do for me. Then I wanted to be touched by the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit. And so by climbing the mountain, when I came off the mountain, is when I was, we could say, I was officially anointed in the great mystery. That when I came off the mountain, I was hoping for when I climbed the mountain, I was hoping for a vision, or lightning would strike or something. As a 22-year-old or 20-year, however, I was about 21 years old, 22. You're so young and impressionable. You're hoping for something magic to happen, and all that happened was I was up there, and then I knew if I didn't get down before darkness, I'd freeze to death up there at 14,500 feet. And so I started my journey down, and there was no vision or anything, but I did pray up there, and I meditated, and I looked up. I could see Yosemite 200 miles to the north of the Cap Mountains of Yosemite from there in Central California, and I came down off the mountain, and even though I was disappointed in not having a great vision, I said, okay, Father, I remember my attitude. I said, okay, Father, when I talk, you're still going to have to back me, okay, because I'm not giving up just because I didn't get a great vision. But what happened was, actually, I was touched in that by that outward expression of my desire for a greater connection, because right away that's when the words started opening up to me, and I also learned the truth about living a pure life and free from having your eyes closed, which is what we mean when we say free from sin. Sin is simply one of those pagan terms again that they gave us to cover the real meaning, which is to have your eyes closed. When you have your eyes closed, you can't see.
Yeah.
If we have our eyes open, why would we want to close them again? It's simple, right? It's simple.
Yeah. Did you realize this immediately? Like when the words started opening up to you, did you realize that was a result of climbing the mountain?
Oh yeah, because it happened so quickly. And but the point is that the symbols, it started with the letters. The symbols, as I shared some of the symbols today, the letters are the prime words of what we call words. The symbols are words by themselves, and therefore we have to then look at the words as components of smaller words, and then get to know those symbols like we know ourselves and know the back of our hand and our friends and or non-friends, and then know whether these are the right symbols or the wrong symbols, because they tell a story, and that's why studying symbolism is significant, because it's the beginning of the diction. It's what was breathed into Adam. So like in this one etymological dictionary that I have, it says here, at the very beginning, at the preface, how do we get our ideas? The kind of thinking that distinguishes man from brutes has been built up and is dependent upon the use of symbols. Since vocal utterance attained a higher development than gesture as a means of communication, these symbols are in fact the words A, B, C, A, V, G. Which one is correct? You tell me, because that's what we talk about on the Forbidden History series. Words are not what you think, and if you want to know the future, then you just need to stay tuned to the Forbidden History series. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here, me and Ninja Cat. Right, Ninja?
Right, does it? Exactly. Yeah. You heard it here first.
So we'll call it a wrap. How about that?
Okay. Yeah.
Any follow-up, any questions? I'll be glad to entertain anything right now, but I think I'm done with my presentation for today.
Yeah, I'm speechless.
You're not going to use the word Jesus anymore, are you?
I avoided that. Like I never used it because I didn't know. I knew it wasn't right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Isn't it?
I knew.
This is amazing
And
how they have engineered our world from every aspect of and every corner.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm so glad I found this program. Like, it's no coincidence. Like, I was praying I was praying to Yeshua, and I knew he was real, but I didn't know what to call him. Yeah.
And these people are so powerful now that right in living color, right in front of our eyes, they can annihilate an entire population of Paradise, California, and get away with it and get ready for the next deal, right?
Yep, and they're on repeat. They're doing it down here, down under, as we speak.
Yeah.
Yes, as we spark. Sorry.
All right. Spock, he was a funny guy at pointed ears, but it was an interesting program. A lot of symbolism there too.
We could go on and on. Like, my favorite shows were all the weird, spacey,
right?
supernaturally ones. Sorry, what? Sorry.
We don't want to spot the car. We don't want to spot the car, don't we?
We don't. I can't understand your accent. But
I've been doing this for too long, as you know. So, I'm ready for a vacation. Okay, anywhere is fine.
Yeah. I need a holiday too.
Out of here is where I want to be, so that'll happen soon enough. We're almost at the end of the road.
Yay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, for some it will be not very pleasant, because we have to come to terms with our true nature, who we really are, and we have to give full commitment to surrender, because we didn't create ourselves. We were made by the great breath of the wind and fire, and we can live eternally as in a place where these bad people that are affecting our lives right now will not be. There's another place. We see the trauma of waking up to our reality in this darkness, but there is a place of light, and it's through the portal of the throne of the sun, and that is the true Stargate. That's how they made another mockery of the sun, because the sun is the true Stargate. We go through the water, and then we have to go through the fire, and that is the light. And the light is pure, and the light cannot be fooled. And so it is about transformation of heart, mind, and being, and all of our actions, all of our Eshabors, our words, and then we can live forever. But it'll still be a miracle, because everything wants to pull you in every other direction.
Yeah, I know.
And there can only be one direction you can go in.
Yeah. I just want to say hi to Liz. Liz from Dublin. G'day.
All right, Liz. Hey, Liz. Good to have you from Ireland. There, the place of irony and fire.
Yeah.
They're always looking for a good fight over there, I think, aren't they?
The what?
I like that one Irish quote when the one guy sees the other guy's fighting. Says, "Is this a private fight, or can anybody join in?" Right?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm looking for a good fight today. Are you available, Ninja? Nobody wants to argue with me. I can't figure it out. Liz came in late. She should have been here earlier. She would have been able to figure out this craziness right now.
Yes.
Just play it back, Liz, okay?
You.
And by the way, Liz, I did respond to your text. You texted me a couple times, and I did respond, but apparently my text didn't go back, and I forgot to mention that the other time. So, Thank you. Thank you again, Liz, for being your wonderful friend and listener of our Forbidden History series here with very few listeners, but the listeners we have, they do listen, and that's what I know.
They do.
So I'm very grateful. I'm very motivated. The very few friends that we have.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to being not giggly. I wanted to say something.
Are you having too much fun, Ninja?
No, never. Not in this world. I'm sorry. Wows and giggles all round. I just wanted to say, you may have noticed I'm a little more giggly than usual. I think
I didn't notice that.
I think that's an immediate words are gone. I think that's an immediate result of what I was about to share with you. for quite a while now, you and others know that I've been really struggling here, and I mean really struggling, and so it's all I've wanted was to get back in the light, and feel that feeling that I was feeling when I was watching the start of your live streams, when I was just starting to learn the real truth. And when you were speaking just then, I literally, I don't like that word. When you were speaking just then, I felt my light switch back on. You know how you've seen me in chats saying my light is back, my light's just switched back on. It just happened again while you were speaking, and I think that's why I had an attack of the giggles, because that's that's how it works. Yeah, yeah. So, wow.
Are you saying that, in other words, something is triggered that helped you to feel back on top of things versus under?
Yeah. Just okay. Then while you were speaking, and yeah, I'm overwhelmed right now. Just realizing that. Yeah. Wow.
Well,
Thank you.
Great. You know,
Let there be light.
Sometimes I wonder what am I going to talk about when I get on the program, and I really just I wing it. You know, I don't
so do I.
plan much. Just one read or whatever. But I need to do this as much as anybody might want to hear something they've not heard before that can help them appreciate more clearly how we're in trouble within our serpent bodies. That has a potential to live eternally, not the body, but even though wherever we go, if we can transcend this world, we have the potential to obviously incarnate into a physical form of some type of a higher order, because Yeshua should prove that when he came back from the dead, he was in a body, but it was a superior. Of a superior nature, and therefore, and it said, that he would not. At the Last Supper, he said he would not eat and drink again till he ate it new in the kingdom of heaven. And what did he say when he rose from the dead and he met with his buddies? He said, "Hey, got any food here?" And he ate and drank with them. And some people today can't even still figure out that, when the kingdom of heaven comes, and he said he would do it. He wouldn't drink again, or eat until he did it new in the kingdom, and they can't even read simple English, let alone John in Revelations, the Elder Moon, says, I am your brother and fellow companion and in the kingdom, And so it's just amazing how people can read a book over and over and over and still be under the spell. That's what happened, you see, because they destroyed our scriptures. They really, really raked them apart, and put them back with phony words and took out words and rearranged to put in new words and switch things out and added things and removed things. All of that combined. It's not hard to imagine that people, when they haven't surrendered and they're going to try to read it from a rational mind and not, make the commitment and separate from the nonsense of this world and have other commitments and diversions and think they're going to interpret these deeper problems, because it's a mystery enough, just reading the esoteric literature, but then to realize that it's been altered on the sacred altar of a black occult ritual, that the likelihood of anybody figuring it out is near impossible, because people have religion, but they don't have the great breath of the wind and fire and the Holy Spirit. And the evidence of that is that they are living pure, and they have conquered the self and been set free from blindness, which is also being set free from sin. That's the great mystery, you see. And so just like nothing can keep us from being good. Nothing can make us to be bad. We have a free choice in this arena. But once we've conquered the self and put on that light through the Yeshua, through the Word, then we can have an experience that is beyond our wildest imagination. And it said that those who are fulfilled, the joy that they will have and the experience will be so great that it doesn't matter what what your experience was in the past, how you suffered, what you cried, what what your losses were.
Yeah.
It won't matter for the joy and the enlightenment that will come. Okay, and that's so there's an experience to be obtained, and therefore one has to put their tennis shoes on and realize nothing else matters. It's like the parable of the man with the pearl of great price. It said that he found the greatest pearl there ever was, and so he decided to sell all of his other gems so that he could buy that one pearl of great price. And that's the mind. The pearl is the mind. The mind, we have to feed the mind, just like we feed the body 3 times a day to keep that serpent going. We've got to feed the mind, because that's the only thing that matters. Because the mind is what we take with us. That's the only thing we take with us is our mind. And so what we feed it now is going to have everything to do with where we're going to go tomorrow. Okay? So thank you for having me on today, Minja.
Wow, thank you for being here, Desert. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I'll let you close out, and I'm gonna go, and we'll look for everybody. Hopefully on Thursday, we'll do it one more time. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Peace and love.
Peace and love to you.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, and that was another episode of the Forbidden History Chronicles. I'm quite overwhelmed at the moment, so I'm just going to not ramble on and say that was amazing. Wows and giggles all round, and love you guys. Be safe. Creating life for you always. Alright, we'll see you Thursday. And I just have to find the button. So professional. Okay, see you guys later.